The Young and the Restless spoilers. Full the 18th of July, 2026 Saturdays. Welcome back to our channel. It is an absolutely beautiful day to dive deep into the latest Genoa City drama. We have a massive amount of chaos to unpack today, so grab your biggest cup of coffee, settle in, and let us get right into the thick of it because things are spiraling out of control. I cannot believe they are doing this again. Seriously, my blood is absolutely boiling after watching this latest episode. React first, explain later, right? But I just can't fathom how Victor Newman continues to get away with being the absolute most toxic father and the most ruthless, unhinged businessman on the planet. I mean, we all know Victor has a massive God complex, but this week he took it to an entirely new level of cruelty, and I am so frustrated I could literally scream. I've been watching this show religiously since 2015, and this has to be one of the most infuriating corporate and family storylines they have ever written for the Mustang. And yet, I am glued to the screen. Am I the only one who feels like throwing their remote at the TV every time Victor sits in that leather chair and dictates everyone's lives like they are just pawns on his chessboard? So let's just jump right into the absolute madness happening at the Newman Ranch. Nick is standing there, actually agreeing with Adam for once. Yes, you heard me right. Nick and Adam, the brothers who have spent the better part of a decade trying to destroy each other, are finally on the exact same page. They both agree that Victor should absolutely not be going after Spectre Charles. And what does Victor do? He immediately deflects and blames Chelsea. He blames Chelsea. He literally looks at Nick and says he is going to do it anyway, and then adds that he thinks this is all Chelsea's influence. He says she has way too much control over Adam, and he doesn't like it. I'm sorry, but since when is Adam having a supportive partner who actually talks sense into him a bad thing? Victor always, always, always blames the women in his son's lives. Remember when he did this with Sharon or with Phyllis? It never ends because, heaven forbid, Victor's sons actually form their own moral compasses and stand up to it. No, it must be the evil women controlling their fragile little minds. It is such a tired, misogynistic excuse, and I am so sick of Victor using it every time Adam or Nick show a shred of independent thought. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. The real tragedy in this ranch scene is Nick. Can we talk about Nick for a second? My heart is just breaking into a million pieces. He is standing there, looking so incredibly vulnerable, telling his father that he is going to his recovery meetings every single day. The man is fighting for his life after that horrific fentanyl and cocaine nightmare that Matt Clark put him through. He is doing the hard work. He is trying to stay clean, and he admits that he feels completely helpless about his career because Victor has benched him. Victor, in his infinite, twisted, manipulative wisdom, claims he removed Nick from his job for his own good. And Nick just looks at him, completely defeated but angry, and says it's a massive mistake. He tells Victor that taking away his purpose and removing him from the company is the absolute worst thing he could do right now. And honestly, Nick is 100% right. When you are in the fragile early stages of recovery, you need a routine. You need a purpose. To wake up in the morning, Victor stripping him of his corporate identity isn't protecting him. It's pushing him dangerously close to the edge of a relapse. I am terrified for Nick right now. And then Nikki walks into the room. Oh, Nikki. She actually steps up and defends Nick. She tells Victor point blank that he needs to let Nicholas go back to work. Victor just brushes her off and says he'll think about it. But honestly, I am so distracted by Nikki's physical state right now because of the bandages. Yes, the bandages. Later on, Nick and Nikki go for a walk to the cottage, and Victoria actually asks her mother how she feels about taking off the bandages. Nikki just sighs and says she's trying to stay positive. But guys, I am freaking out. What on earth did Victor do to her head? We all know he drugged her and manipulated her into signing away her Newman Enterprises shares while she was suffering from those blinding, terrifying headaches. Is this part of his sick medical cover-up? The fact that Nikki is standing there, bandaged up, trying to advocate for her son while her husband is literally stealing her legacy out from under her is just, it's too dark. I am dreading where this is going, but I also kind of want to see Victor get exposed and destroyed for it. Okay, let's take a breather and talk about the cottage scene, because I actually need a moment of peace from Victor's reign of terror. Victoria and Claire are having a quiet night in, and it is the 1-year anniversary of Cole Howard's death. I know some people are loving all this corporate war stuff, but personally, I live for these quiet, emotional character moments. They are sitting on the couch, looking at old photos, sharing deep memories of Cole, and eating tuna casserole. Tuna casserole, because Claire remembered it was one of his absolute favorite. It's just so incredibly domestic and normal and heartbreakingly sweet. Cole was such a huge part of Victoria's history. To see her and Claire just honoring him like this, without any Newman scheming or backstabbing, was genuinely beautiful. It made me tear up, not going to lie. But of course, because it's Victoria, the conversation naturally has to pivot to her disastrous love life. She brings up Nate Hastings. And let me just say, thank goodness. Victoria finally admits out loud that she doesn't think they have a future. She says they are just friends and that she really doesn't want to be tied down or committed. I was cheering at my screen. Yes, Victoria, be a strong, independent, single CEO. But then she contradicts herself in the very next breath and admits she's actually open to something casual, just not a serious relationship. You know what? Good for her. After the absolute emotional train wrecks she has been through, Ashland Locke faking cancer, the endless Billy Abbott drama, the weird corporate power dynamics with Nate, maybe a casual, no strings attached fling, is exactly what the Ice Princess needs to thaw out a little. Just please, writers, don't pair her with someone toxic. Who am I kidding? They definitely will. So while Victoria is eating casserole and planning her casual dating life, Sally Spectra is at Society, having her entire world crushed. Again, can we just give Sally a break for 5 minutes? The poor woman just suffered a horrific car crash in the blinding rain, tragically lost her baby, had her heart completely shattered by Billy's cruel paternity doubts, and now Victor is trying to steal her company. Audrey's sitting there all excited because she just met with a contact in Paris who is willing to help them expand their platform. It's great news. But Sally looks like she's about to be physically sick because she overheard Adam and Chelsea talking, and she knows Victor is actively targeting Spectra Charles. Audra's reaction is exactly why I absolutely love Audra Charles. She doesn't even flinch. She just looks at Sally and says, let him try. Audra is totally fearless, and I am here for it. She says they aren't going to give up easily, and they won't surrender at all. But when Sally mentions that Adam and Chelsea are actually against Victor's plan, Audra gets so incredibly sarcastic. She rolls her eyes and is like, "Oh, sure. Of course they're totally complicit in Victor's stupid raid on our company." And Sally defends Adam. Why is Sally still defending Adam? I mean, I know they have deep history, and I know Adam is trying to be a better person, but Sally needs to stop relying on the Newman men. They literally only bring her pain. Actually, wait, maybe Sally is just trying to be fair because she knows Adam genuinely didn't want this. I don't know. My feelings on Chatham and Sally are so mixed right now, I can't even think straight. But then Audra suggests they go on the offensive. Yes, uh, this is what we want. I'm so tired of seeing the Newmans crush everyone else in town without a fight. Audra says they need to take the fight directly to Victor, and Sally agrees. Sally says she's going to the ranch right now, and Audra immediately says she's going with her. "So we're doing this?" Sally asks. "Yes," Audra replies. "Good, because I just thought of a plan." The female empowerment in this scene was off the charts. Two brilliant, ambitious, fiercely independent women marching up to the Newman gates to take on the final boss. I am terrified for them, but I am also so incredibly proud. Remember when Victor tried to crush Jabot, or when he went after Chancellor? He always underestimates women. He thinks because they don't have his last name, they are weak. He is about to find out how wrong he is. So they arrive at the ranch. The tension in that living room is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Nick is there, and he actually tells Sally that he fiercely opposes what his father is doing and wishes him luck. That was a really nice, validating moment from Nick. He knows exactly how ruthless his dad is. Then Nick and Nikki excuse themselves to go for that walk to the cottage, leaving the girls alone in the lion's. So now it's just Sally, Audra, and Victor. Victor is sitting there looking like a smug Bond villain, completely unbothered by their presence. And then Victor opens his mouth and says the most arrogant, infuriating thing I have ever heard. He tells them it's lucky they came today, because tomorrow Spectre Charles will cease to exist. Excuse me? The sheer audacity of this man. He doesn't even view them as human beings who have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into this company. He just views them as minor annoyances to be swept off the board. I was screaming at my television. How does he keep getting away with this? He has no legal grounds. He has no moral grounds. He just has endless money and pure malice. But Sally holds her ground like an absolute queen. She calmly tells him that Spectre Charles didn't steal anything. They merely merged with Newman Media. She is trying to be rational. She is trying to appeal to his business sense. She even offers him a massive deal. She says the Newman Media merger is still in its early stages, and they are willing to sell it back to him. It's a huge compromise. It's Sally swallowing her pride to save her company from total annihilation. But Victor, being the absolute monster that he is, just smirks and asks why he should pay for something that already belongs to him. It doesn't belong to you, Victor. You sold it. You lost it. That's how corporate business works. Audra chimes in, trying to keep the peace, saying they have respected the legacy and asking why he's going through all this trouble when there's no bad blood between them. And Victor's response? "You don't know me very well. I like a fight, so bring it on." He is literally destroying their livelihoods just because he's bored and wants a fight. It is sickening. Sally finally drops the hammer and tells him that she spoke to Adam and Chelsea, and they begged him not to go further. She even throws in that Nick hates the idea too. She is desperately trying to show Victor that his own family thinks he's completely out of control. But will it work? I highly, highly doubt it. Victor Newman does not care what his children think. He doesn't care what anyone thinks. He only cares about winning and dominating everything. And I am so incredibly scared. She has lost so much already. If she loses Spectra Charles, I genuinely don't know if she will survive it mentally. And what about Nick? If Victor keeps pushing him away, refusing to let him work, and destroying the people Nick cares about, Nick is going to relapse. I can feel it in my bones. I am dreading the next few weeks, but you better believe I will be watching every single agonizing second. What do you guys think? Am I overreacting, or is Victor completely out of control this time? Let me know in the comments, because I need to know I'm not the only one losing my mind over this.